All right, guys. Sorry about that. I ended up pressing the end broadcast because it's right below the chat of thing, and I was thinking I was hitting the audio mute to continue or enter chat or whatever I was thinking, and I pressed end broadcast because I'm a goof. So I do apologize. That's too busy of a morning. But the other one, hey, at least you got to see the prequel to it. Let's see if I how bad it ended. I feel like it ended brutally. Let's see. Anyways, thank you for joining in if you're still here. Just drawing silently because I'm eating, and I don't want to be smacking on the mic. And yeah, so just enjoy this.
Are you live now?
Please don't forget to I am. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. I'm gonna go back on mute. That was embarrassing. Sorry, guys, if you joined me. Thank you. Hey, John, welcome back. I accidentally pressed the in broadcast button instead of the mute my mic to continue drawing button. So I'm a dummy. And we're back. Thank you. Maybe I'll stay vocal for a few moments so that way. So stressful of a morning. So stressful. What is it? Oh, this is the okay. I'm just now getting coffee for the morning at 11:38 and breakfast, so you can see how rushed I am. All right, so we're drawing Samson. We're having fun. I got this wrestler reference on the last video. You will see the reference. In this video, you're looking at me kind of refining the character down, building him out a lot better. Yeah. And then, you know, of course, I don't know what this is. Doesn't make sense because it would be blocked. His foot would be blocked. Okay, so I'd have to do that. Anyways, yeah, so, golly, I had a good little thing going on. 2:40 p.m. Yeah. Good thing is that I started the biblical series for this year. Not going to be doing comic book stuff, and Samson I'm starting because I have the other piece of Samson, the inked version that I will be completing soon as well. A few videos I'm putting out soon, and a lot more stuff will be once I get on track of putting out more content. It's going to be a lot more mainstream since I've taken off more days from work so that I can continue to do this. Because like, you know, you go to work 5 days a week. The days you have off, it's hard to like find the energy to come and do this kind of stuff, your own creative work. So taking a few, you know, cutting the hours kind of sucks a little bit because, you know, less hours, you know, less paycheck and stuff, but you know, it'll work out. And the prints that I've got made, I'm looking for new printers. There was some hassle shipping out some of these more recent ones, but they do look good. I can show you some of the prints that came out, but I don't like the paper. They printed it on, you know, paper that is good and all, but I want to do like really nice paper. So I'm trying to like search for like cottons and all kinds of other stuff, and printers that would even maybe allow me to cut my own paper and bring it to them, you know, because that would make, you know, I feel like if I'm going to have someone buy my art, I'm going to sign it, and it should be like the highest quality possible and the best presentation of the art as possible, I feel. Buying a print and just having it like on your wall, so like that, like a poster or whatever, is cool. I totally am down for that, but you gotta find someone who gives me a good print. I can turn this. There we go. A little bit better. Yeah. I mean, Samson was blind at this point when he's pulling down these things. So I'm drawing from the time when he pulls out, the famous pulling the pillars. It's just the Philistines and all that jazz. Um, anyways, I'm gonna put you guys on mute again. You can watch if you want to, but yeah, I just want to be able to eat and not smack my food. Oh, almost pressed the end broadcast button again. Dang. So I wanted to give a real quick understanding of the shading. When you shade, drawing the outlines of each shadow, not with a hard line, but a soft line like this around it, right? All the shaded parts, that where they begin and end. For example, right here, this is where the light comes onto the arm and then it breaks into the shadow part. What I'm going to be doing is drawing a thicker outline, and then, hold on, let's kind of just continue this dark line. You see how there's an outline now? But if I shade it in, and if I do the shading quite smoothly, what it does is it allows you to see the part of the arm, and then you blend in the part where it's dark into the shaded part, right? You just blend it in, but you still want that little bit of the hard edge on there. Okay, and then you, of course, you want to blend a little bit into the pure whites, not much. And that's reflective light, right? That's this light coming off of his leg right here, and you can see it more understandably right there. On, you can see how it's light, dark line, and then light again, but still in the shadow, still dark. So if you blur your eyes, you would get light and dark. But when you open them, you get light, dark, and a medium tone here. And that's what really brings out your realistic, shading and looks, and definitely helps you out with cross-hatching later, so you know where to heavily intersect your lines versus leaving more open space for the shadow. Just helpful tip, because it always looks good. Like, for example, like if you ever see ink drawings and they just have this like thick line, but then the line gets thin where it's needed to go, actually. So here, if I was to do the same idea, I would do the thick line right on the top of the thigh, come down thinner, real thin, come here, and then the knee would get real thick again with the line, just because I'm like locating areas that I feel like need to be like prominent to the eyes to be drawn towards. You wouldn't want to do that to these like ruffles on his whatever this is, tunic and whatnot. But doing it on his arm in certain areas highlights, helps highlight like a more of a pop feel from the image that you're drawing. So yeah, there you go, little tip. one of the key elements of why maybe someone or even myself, whenever I was trying to learn to draw, wasn't progressing in the fashion that I wanted to start off, was because I was trying to jump from point A to point Z without going through the whole entire alphabet, you know. But luckily, you don't have to do the whole entire alphabet. You can do something really good, and you can get there to your specific point probably within 5, you know, letters, A, B, C, D, E, right? A being first, have the concept, stick figure it out, right? Whenever I started drawing the first video, the one before this one that I posted, it was live on, you saw me take the reference and start sketching out similar lines to the guy's form, right? That's where A would be, is like, hey, what's the form going to be? So I just replicated, let me zoom out. I replicated his form. Of course, I made him into Samson instead of it, but I pretty much identically used him as a reference because he has the perfect, you know, he has a perfect form. It's exactly what I need. I don't need to make anything different. Now, if I wanted to change him up and manipulate his arms and legs to be something different, no problem. We just extend it, and that's where knowing the anatomy comes in handy. I didn't need to do that. I'm just playing around with the idea of Samson. But what I started with was with this line, this line, this line, and I messed up on the leg. I made it too small, and I had to redo it. But then I got the proportions pretty close, you can see. And that was just like the stick figure for me, right? You get to that point too when you start using shapes or however you find a doodle technique. I like that one where you're kind of doodling until you condense it. All your artwork is going to be in layers. Layer A, the bone structure, right? Just the stick figure, skeleton. B, now let's put some a little bit more, you know, a little bit more weight, fat to the drawing. You know what I mean? And then we start doing maybe oh, I see this muscle here. Maybe he's got some boots. I'll draw the outline of a boot. And then C is going to be like refining it and kind of taking it in a little bit, leaving the edges, erasing stuff here and there. D is going to be, you know, the cross hatching and the shading part where you're really building out all the shadows and stuff, which should also be in your mind early on too, because the shadows are the most important to, I think, for building out your character. And then of course, you know, E, which is excellent because you get to start looking over it and going, okay, what needs to be, you know, thicken the lines. It's like the final touches of everything before it's done. But you can of course go to F and other letters, continue if you just want to keep on building, because then you might want to start the whole letter system over when you go into inking, you know. But when you're building out a character and you're like, why isn't that coming right? Maybe you're overthinking. Maybe you're trying to jump from A to Z. Why don't you just, you know, start with A. Get the proportions like Gumby, you know, Gumby it. Gumby draw, then turn it, and it's all about refining. You want to refine. A lot of him will be changed. You know, we changed him a couple times. His legs in this part is looking good. He's coming together, but it's all about cutting it down continuously until it gets to the point where you want. Oh, thanks, Randy. Thanks, John. Yeah. So as you saw in the earlier drawing, the other video, it was looking kind of goofy, right? But as we go along, as we pursue this idea of just refining our character, Samson down, it's going to be great. He's looking good. He's coming together. The shading really helps. Pencil will always look fantastic. But doing a good pencil means you're going to do a great ink, usually, unless your inking is just, the worst. But that's not the case because we're all the worst, you know? I'm not that great at inking either. It's just about learning how to ink and doing well and having fun, mainly having fun, because if you're not having fun doing it, then it's a job. And if it's a job, then there's better things you can do that'll make you happier, you know? So just enjoy it, have fun, trying to get these layers and learning the technique yourself to which one works best for you, because this might not actually work for you, my ABC method, my layer method. But for me, when I'm teaching anyone to draw, I tell them to, figure out the shape, the Loomis technique, or whatever you're going to do. And that's a basic round, and just like have fun with it, and then move on to like refining, and don't jump to A to Z. But each has their own idea of what they want to do, so you do you. But don't beat yourself up over it. Um, it takes practice. Lots of darn practice. Yeah. Okay, back to mute. Learning to shade the way I do is actually, it's a little bit of both, but mainly it's study, right? This one's a study technique. I think it's a study technique. I don't think it's a practice. I think because I didn't apply this technique, and I don't apply this technique very often because my inking style is different. I went with a comic book style here because I'm sketching with pencil, and I like the way I can do different values in this way while using cross hatching to kind of help me lean forward. But if you're talking about getting the muscles correctly and doing shading, I think, shoot, I didn't upload that video. Crap. Let me get that video. Find you a link to a video that taught me this. There is an artist, I think I mentioned before, named Scott Waddell. He's an oil painting artist. He taught me how to shade like this, not even a comic book artist actually, because blocking in the muscles first and keeping your eyes, training your eyeballs to see the shadows as the objects that form the actual thing that you're drawing. For example, if I was to blur my eyes and not look at this as a character, but just as an object, I blur it and I see all the shadows first, and they become the shapes. And then everything be like around it that's not a shadow, I would just proportion around the shadow. I know that doesn't, it's hard to make sense, but if you can train your eyes to stop looking at things that your mind thinks that is there. For example, when I see a human being, I see, oh, that's a guy. Maybe he's got kids. Maybe he drives a Jeep. Maybe he, I already put a story to him the moment I lay eyes on him. The moment I lay eyes on him, I have already judged him in weird ways that I just, in my imagination goes. But when I draw him, I've got to prevent all those thoughts to entering and just focus on what really is really there, what's actually there. It's this figure with, brown or peach skin, but it's about 6 feet tall. It's got shadows going across this side only, and they bend here and they do this. And once you can okay, I'm focusing on drawing this object now, and you look at the shadows, and the shadows actually help you kind of he kind of instructs you in a way that's like, oh, well, this is going to help you see what you usually don't see, and your proportions will get better because you're seeing something you never really looked at before. And I was like, what the heck? And then I went through his course a couple of times because I was like, I'm not fully getting it. And once it clicked, I was like, oh crap! Like I get it now. I can, when I look at objects now, I can see the shadows and I can put them into like a whole different category of like how to draw them and use them as like a reference for the rest of the object to draw. But when you're doing this technique with the cross hatching and the shadows, what it really is once you've decided to just shade stuff in, make sure you shade evenly. Even shading, never press hard. The only time you press really hard, you don't press hard. You just don't press hard, period. The hardest I pressed was these outline lines, and that was because they're so thin and I can get away with it. But you never want to press hard on your paper. Your paper's like, stuff. Take care of it. Anywho, once you get the shadows in here and they're even to you and they make a decent outline, then you can go in and the technique is the shadow, the line around the shadow, and then cross hatching those on that dark line, right? In the direction of where the muscles would be flowing, like where the form is going, right? The Israelite bear man, yeah. So for example, let's show you. Let's take his arm here. I'm gonna say, not really good at sculpting, but we're gonna just use it. I don't know if you can see it on camera. You can't really see it on camera. Okay, see that little crease right there? When I put it into the shadow, you can see that this is kind of like the muscle he has, right? So I'm trying to replicate the muscle with this 3D object. But when I'm drawing my cross-hatching, I'm going to not be doing it like this. I mean, I can, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be going, it's a cylinder, right? It's mostly a cylinder or an oval, so I'm just going to be going my lines going this direction, right? I don't want to do them this way, long ways, like like a football, because it's just so it's boring. So you would want to do is instead of doing that, just do lines that are cross hatching in the same form, but just at a slight angle. This takes practice. This also takes study. That's both. It takes both study and practice because you need to train your hand to move quick enough to move the lines, but also slow enough to not making the lines spread out. Consistency is hard. You can see here I have issues left and right with them. It's just a pain in the butt. It's something you got to practice, But definitely study it. Definitely practice. Just take some comic book artists that use the cross hatching techniques. My favorite cross hatching artist, which I'm still studying his work, is taking forever because he is masterfully good. He's just masterfully good. Is oh my gosh, Josh, you're literally about to say his name. Andy Andy Brace. I think it's Brace. I don't know his name, but look him up. Andy Brace, Brace. He does the Sandman. He does a Predator. He does a bunch of different inkings that are just so crazy. Absolutely, because it's clean, but yet very complex on his shading techniques because they are cross-hatching. He's cross-hatching like a madman on his. He makes me look like a fool on his technique, but I'm learning from him, so it's fun. It's very fun. Yeah, he goes in and he's putting layers upon layers of cross-hatching to build form around objects. Yeah. Anyways, we're almost done right now with the sketch. I'm going to go finish the rest of my workday. I have to package up and mail off some prints for some amazing supporters. I'm very excited about that. They've been waiting a while, and Christmas kind of just took a toll on my printing company that I use. They were like, I don't know how you get that overwhelmed unless, well, I know why, but anyways, still looking for a new company. I am actually in talks with another one down here about using them, so they're going to give me a quote later today, and hopefully I can get these things affordable, because right now at this price they're just, it's kind of wild. But the website is coming together. Sorry it's not fully up. Apologize. Also here I put scars on him. You can see some battle scars. I'll probably put another scar here because he got beaten and tortured and stuff like that. So, and what I would do is when I choose a light source, I would shade on the one end and just use dark lines. Like this. And then continue up. And this technique actually works better when you've already shaded everything in, because you're erasing. You want to erase a perfectly silhouetted white line. So, yeah. Looks pretty dope. It looks like he's been through some damage. I like it. And I'm going to do the same thing for the chains that or the rope or whatever he's tied with. I imagine it's some kind of metal chain. I don't think it was so primitive that they didn't have metal chains, but I don't know. I have to research that one. That's why I haven't drawn what the rope is, because I'm not sure if it's rope or a chain metal thing. We're talking about Samson. We're talking about probably 1200 BCE and probably 1300 BCE, because we got the Philistines, and we have we have some pretty advanced buildings at this point, because he's pulling down columns, and if he's pulling down columns, he's pulling down something that is well structured. You know what I mean? It's not Stonehenge that he's pulling down. Oh, and another thing is that mythically, Samson is considered to be almost a giant. He's enormous. He's not only enormous, but he's crazy Hulk strong. He carries the gates from one town to another town which is, like these not like next door; they're miles apart. And he carries a gate. Like these things, these gate doors are enormous too. Like they would crush a couple men easily because they're gigantic. So him actually being part of the Nephilim or a giant, ancestrally part of the giant is part of his mythology, but not accepted fully in the Christian faith. They just think of it as a strong man because it represents, not giving over to the woman or sin and just being, faithful to God, blah, blah, blah. Funny stuff. But yeah, so technically to a normal person, he may actually be like this small, like a small little dude beside him. And that's how huge he was and powerful. But anywho, all that to say is I'm going to keep him a little bit bigger than everyone else, but not like giant mode. Because, just he also is a lover of women, and I just can't imagine, you know what I mean? If him being that big, let's keep it a little realistic. Okay. Yeah. So there was the pictures of Samson pulling the things, pushing the pillars down. There's a really good ink artist from I think like Gustav's time. I don't know, like really high quality inking. I'm not going to copy that. This one is just for having. I'm not actually using this as who Samson is. I just wanted to get his muscular form and look at this wrestler and see if like this is, because I found out that wrestlers are going to be my best reference guide, because I can literally watch every wrestling episode of WWE, WWF, and find the poses of every comic action scene ever. Like I did not even think about this until the cooks in my restaurant. They were just like, they're watching WW whatever it is now, and I'm like, who are these characters? I never heard of any of these guys. And they're like, who'd you? I was like, Sting, Hulk Hogan. They're like, how old are you? And I'm like, what? How old are you? Like, why are you watching? I thought this stuff was over with, like in the 90s or something, But then I was watching a clip and I realized, man, they are perfect. They are perfect references. Not only do they have different body types, but you have women wrestlers, like fighting men wrestlers. Like this is, I'm sorry, that's the best reference I could ever have. So this was in a test to see what kind of body types I found. And yeah, you're just going to see a lot from me coming from wrestling references now that I know that exists. I'm stoked. But this turned out good. This is like a solid Samson. I think he's looking pretty good. Get these shadow lines in here so that there's some occlusion. I can't think of the words, my art words to use, so that way it's it's not ambient, it's not specular. Is it specular? I don't know. Can't think. Either way, yeah, he's looking good. Just gotta erase all these chain stuff and. It's pretty dope. It kind of looks like a Zeus character, but we'll fix him up to be Samson. I wonder if I'll even ink him though. Need some pencil work in here. My doodle book. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this little goofy 2-episode sketch in one session. Sorry I've been failing on actually doing every single day. I tried to do yesterday and I missed out on the other day. My schedule's all over the place, but I'm not going to do every day. I'm just going to do every day I can. And that's what's important for us artists, is that we can try and try and try. As long as we have air in our lungs, we're going to continue to do that. So that's okay. We're not perfect, and yeah, that's all that matters, is that we continue to try. So If you enjoy, please like and subscribe, of course. And if you want to join the Discord, join that. Got some new people in recently, which was fun. I think I just need to activate a new like challenge or something in the Discord so we can have some fun together. If you guys have any ideas, definitely leave it in the comments in the general thread in the Discord. And yeah, if you've got ideas and tips and tricks, let us know. And questions, let me know. But thank you for watching. Sorry for the chaos. And you're amazing. Today is Monday. Let's have a fun week. Let's make it a good week of learning something new about drawing. Even if it's something small, let's try. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. See you soon.